What up, heathens? Grand afternoon. We're gonna piggyback off this here before I get into this other story.
This absolutely
okay, good night, folks.
I mean, the thing is, it's an absolutely pointless conversation. And it's like, okay, so now what? Thank you for letting us know that there's a new fancy word of you saying that you're tired of black people. And you put it on the internet, and now people are co-signing on it, you know, including with the way they...
Not at all. I wanted to piggyback off what she said about Lyndon B. Johnson. Said he had them Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Right? This was in 1962. Right?
I've been trying to get out there that you people need help. It's me, but me and other black conservatives. We've been trying to warn society that this is what it's going to come to when y'all keep coddling black people.
So we want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor. First of all,
She said, like, loudmouth.
Facts out. What's going on here? Pull over right here. See what's popping.
Angela, let's hear from you. Your thoughts about this black fatigue.
Well, with all due respect to Angela, number one, I really disagree with this. It is a completely behavior-based issue. Right. And when white people, black people, Hispanic people...
Most definitely a behavior issue. You see how that councilwoman was acting, trying to go over there and free them illegal migrants in that detention center? See how she was acting a fool? Let's go.
Are saying we have black fatigue because of the behavior of some black people. We've all seen it. We all know what it is. It's everywhere. And, you know, the issue is way more insidious than people realize. And I talk about how a lot of these things come back to what the Democrat Party has done to the black community purposefully, starting with the Great Society of Lyndon B. Johnson, who he famously said, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
I wanted to piggyback off that because he said that he was the president 1960, 62 to what, 68, 69? So he said he's gonna have them Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years, but yet your boy Reverend Martin Luther King stood side by side with him in 1968. Y'all can do the research. When he signed the bill that you Negroes so-called out here, oh, you gonna let that just go to waste like that? But this man said he's gonna have Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. But yet, King bumped shoulders with him when he signed that bill in 1968. Y'all can do the research. Let me see something. They fixing on that street right there. That road fucked up. That motherfucker was gonna cave in. But what was that? bumped shoulders with him in 1968. I just wanted to play that and say who was the sellouts, right? King bumping shoulders with a man that said in 1962,
purposefully, starting with the Great Society of Lyndon B. Johnson, who he famously said, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When Democrats said...
Facts. And that was in 1962. And King bumped shoulders with him in 1968. And signed the bill with him. Was that the bill that he had those niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years? And not only that, what else?
Purposefully, starting with the Great Society of Lyndon B. Johnson, who he famously said, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When Democrats said you don't need fathers in the home.
After they said you don't need fathers in the home. In 1962. They signed this bill in 1963. No father in the home rule. We looked that up, right? That was in 1963. They signed that bill. So in 62, he said, I'll have these Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Turn around in 63 and sign a bill. The no man, the House bill, which means no man allowed in the house if we're going to give you these benefits, right? And then King turned around and signed a bill with him in 1968. Is niggas known to sell niggas out? Let me know, y'all. Nah, man, and like I said, y'all, we go get the facts. And it's right there in our face. Lyndon B. Johnson said that in 1962. Turned around in 1963 and said, signed that no man in the house bill for the females, right? Breaking the family up. But then King turned around in 1968 and was rubbing shoulders with him, signing another bill. Who been selling us out, y'all? Let's go. And I just wanted to play that, y'all, to show y'all the hypocrisy that been going on in the African American community.
That's what Papa Duck was talking about yesterday. The man in the house rule.
The man in the house rule.
You can look it up. Like he said, Google it.
The man in the house rule. He signed that in 68. Lyndon B. Johnson did. He was the president. The facts are there. But then King bumped shoulders with him in 1968. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. But anyway, we're gonna get back to this females losing their job behind that DEA bullshit.
For y'all.
Behind that DEI bullshit. You understand me? Once again, when Papa Duck did the video of them people losing their jobs, it was behind that DEI bullshit and the rest of them programs they had going on. Let's get into it.
You've always loved making things. You could say, handmade is in your DNA.
Looks like they were not qualified. I got this story from a tweet from Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump, who is a civil rights lawyer, and he gets involved with a lot of media cases where he claims racism. Here's a tweet he put out. Black women lost 38,000 jobs in April, the most of any group. Economists say this sharp rise is tied to the administration's anti-DEI agenda. Black women are sadly paying the price. This is more than just a policy. It's harm. When he says this is harm, He's saying this is like an actionable lawsuit somehow. He's trying to dream up, how can I have a class action lawsuit on behalf of all black women and sue everyone in the world, or at least the federal government, saying you're firing them because they're black women. Look at this disparate impact. It doesn't work that way. If it did work that way, he'd have his lawsuit. Here's the article he was referencing, and this is from Afrotech, and I have covered things from Afrotech before. There's a whole subculture of, we're not just going to give you news, we're going to give you news and information from a DEI point of view. That's Afrotech. That's Essence. That's articles like this from Refinery 29. Black women are leaving journalism, and it's a huge loss. And it makes sense to have some kind of cultural point of view in a specific niche, but when it comes to law, when it comes to fairness in the workplace, it really doesn't have a place. And I do want to say these numbers are correct. Black women are losing jobs at an alarming rate. It's numbers that are coming from the government, but they're not being targeted or singled out because they're black women. Not on the way out, but they might have been on the way in given opportunities that they weren't qualified for. Diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring. I have done like more than 100 woke shutdown videos. I've done several on DEI and diversity hiring. I do have some knowledge on this, but I had to do a little more research to kind of get a better background and understand what exactly are they talking about. Is there some kind of a stealth program going on for reparations that the general public was unaware of? I mean, we were hearing about DEI hiring and DEI-related lawsuits and diversity, equity, and inclusion. We understand that's in the public eye. But was there something going on behind the scenes that the general public never voted for, but some people in power decided, you know what, let's do reparations? They may have actually done that. This is from NBC News. Much of the black middle class was built by federal jobs. That may change. For the last several decades, federal jobs help black workers find stable work with guardrails to prevent bias, but mass cuts are threatening decades of upward mobility. Was the federal government running a jobs program as stealth reparations to give opportunities to people of certain specific skin colors and just them? The Griot is another one of these DEI-cultured websites. They say this: Trump's elimination of federal employees could shrink the black middle class. Black federal workers find themselves being disproportionately targeted through a combination of DEI cuts, employee buyouts, and layoffs executed by the Trump administration. Which is to say what? You think they really went and said, okay, we're only going to fire people of this specific skin color or offer buyouts to people of that specific skin color? They're not doing that. It's a class based on the people that are needed or not needed for the federal government. And by deduction, that can only mean that these are people that the government may not exactly need or may not need as much. The government did go specifically and identify DEI hires and DEI officers, people being paid a lot of money to push that agenda. But I can't imagine they went into personnel files, identified skin color or something with an AI algorithm, and decided those people would be let go. I know it's hard out there, and I know it's difficult to build yourself up to the middle class, to get opportunities, especially going back decades, going back 50 years, 60 years, and there was a lot of discrimination then. But even within that discrimination, there was hiring based on merit. Now, there may be some people, and I'm sure there were a lot of people in the 1970s and the 1960s that were not even considered for a job based on their skin color. That's terrible. Or their sexual preference. Also terrible. What do you care? If they can do the job, give them the opportunity. They're going to make you money, or they're going to be productive. But going into the 1980s and the 1990s, people really weren't doing that. But prior to that, when they were doing that, they weren't just hiring any white guy off the street because he was a white guy. There really was a system of merit where they may have excluded certain people. And again, it's wrong to exclude people based on their skin color or their gender. But the people that they did include, they would look at those applicants and they would say, in a discriminatory way, we're going to hire the best person for that job. It may have been racism, but it was merit-based racism. And my point is simply this: the current day racism and reverse racism of not hiring people or giving people opportunities because they're too white or because they don't fit some specific corporate skin color it does not seem to consider like, all right, let's discriminate against these white people or Asian people, and we'll only hire the best people of this skin color that we prefer, the way it was done in the past, which as bad as it was and as wrong as it was a system that worked. This system, if you're gonna hire people, at least figure out a way to discriminate and hire the best people.
Right.
And because they did not hire based on merit, even when they were doing their DEI.
It's the Big News Report with Guillermo Rodriguez.
Good evening. I'm Guillermo Rodriguez.
DEI. They excluded people who could actually do the job while they were being racist. Things like that cause society to collapse because people that you hire can't actually even do the work. And this goes beyond offering fair opportunities. From Afrotech, report reveals black women lost the most jobs in April, and changes in DEI could partially be to blame. What they don't want to admit is that changes in DEI are massively responsible for this change. They're just not quite sure how to deal with this story. And black women can be very intelligent, they can be very capable, the same way as white women or Asian women or even Asian men. They too can be capable. But they have to be capable. They have to be able to do the job. And if they can't do the job, the people that can't do the job are not going to get to keep the job. And they're not going to get offered future jobs because the culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion is being flushed out of the country right now. Black women workers lost more jobs than other demographics in April, according to a report. And it's a very credible report. While the overall unemployment rate for April 2025 remained unchanged, stats released by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show that black women lost 38,000 jobs and that their unemployment went up by 106,000, according to Creative Investment Research. Bloomberg notes the unemployment rate for black women was a full percentage point higher at 6.1% compared to 5.1% in March. That's a massive increase. 1% in like a month is a massive increase. This rate has been on the rise since February 2024. Some of the steady decline in their employment is partially attributed to the decline in workforce as a result of initiatives being pushed by the Trump administration. As Afrotech previously told us, it struck down diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at the federal level, and many corporations have followed suit to ensure their policies are in alignment. Companies are jumping on board with this left and right. For example, from Shopify, Shopify lays off teams supporting Black, Indigenous, and women entrepreneurs. The layoffs coincided with the closure of major diversity initiatives at Shopify, according to sources, with major partners ghosted and Slack communities left abandoned. This would be like intensive consulting, extra help that you would get, in addition to who knows what extra like customer help they gave you with finding customers. I don't know about this Shopify program in great detail. It's just an example of, look, if you don't make it on your own and you don't compete based on merit, you're going to suffer as much as the people who didn't get the opportunity. Justice is there. Justice is coming, and justice has pretty much already come. When I've done my DEI videos, talking about what they do in colleges, they're really ruining people's lives by putting them into positions where they can't succeed if they're not qualified to have an opportunity or a position based on merit. Sometimes an opportunity can be like a one-time thing, and it's like, oh, cool, I got this one thing, and it really made my whole life. But unless you're able to keep up at the pace of the complexity of the work, it's what you're competent at, and you're really passionate about it, it's going to put people in the wrong box, make them depressed, make them lose their job, make them not know what to do next with their lives. It's really quite cruel. Whether you're included in something that you should not be in, or you're excluded from something that you should have been in, can be equally destructive. The great thing is merit is returning. According to Bloomberg, which is to say, this is really credible, Black women workers at the federal level have declined by an estimated 33% within the last year in comparison to a 3.7% drop across the workforce overall. So there's a 3.7% drop off of Black women across the entire workforce of the United States. 33% drop over the last year in the federal workforce. That is extreme. That's enough that if Benjamin Crump can prove that these people were competent, then he ought to have a lawsuit. But unfortunately, I think he's going to getting the opportunity aren't getting the work because they can't really do the work that needs to be done.
Right.
Or they were hired under a program that put them in positions they should not have been in. 33% is a huge number of people to be cut out. If, for example, the government's number one priority was to get rid of everyone who didn't belong in those positions, 33% would be kind of a high number.
Right.
It just tells you that no, it wasn't the number one priority to hunt these people out, hunt out the black women in the federal government and get rid of them if they can't do their jobs. If it was, it would have been a much higher percentage. But 33% is pretty much off the charts. Well, the unusual nature of this increase in black women's unemployment, I mean, it's historic. He's right, it's unusual, is a testament to and a direct result of the anti-DEI and anti-black focus of the new administration's policies, according to William Michael Cunningham, an economist and owner of Creative Investment Research. There is no anti-black focus on the current administration, and that is an outrageous thing to say.
It's 5 a.m. Most people are counting sheep. In neighborhoods everywhere, we're counting.
The current administration, and that is an outrageous thing to say. There certainly is an anti-DEI focus because we want people to have equal opportunity based on merit, which some people feel is racist, and certainly I don't, because I'm not a communist trying to overthrow the country. He went on to say, quote, "This is demonstrably damaging to the black community, something we've not seen before. Whoever was responsible for pushing this terrible agenda has done a lot more damage than otherwise would not have been done. This could have been one of these like background things that nobody even got around to. But the problem is when it's so invasive, when there's so much of it and it's so pervasive, if you don't correct it, everything collapses. Not because of someone's gender or skin color, because if people aren't competent and they can't really do their jobs, it doesn't matter what they look like, they gotta go. To say nothing of the fact that the country is paying billions of dollars for this, as you know, you hire someone who's not qualified. You pay him to do a job. Okay, you lose the money on the job. You lose that productivity. Fine. That productivity impacts other productivity. These are jobs that you hire people to do some things. I mean, some of these may be no-show jobs. Maybe people aren't even working. This is the federal government after all. Elon Musk exposed that 100,000 people at a minimum are on unemployment insurance while they're part of the 2 million plus federal workforce. In addition to that, as the president has said, we don't even know if some of these people exist. So the harm of this, of hiring people, not hiring them based on merit, just hiring them based on gender and skin color, we don't know how much harm it is because we don't know what they're actually doing or if they're even alive. But for the people that we hire, that do these jobs and don't do them well because they weren't hired for the right reasons, we don't know how much damage they're actually doing. It seems like it would be quite a lot. This comment about how it hurts the black community to have such a high number of black women be laid off was echoed by Andrew M. Perry, senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, who pointed to an overall economic decline. He also added Trump's recent tariffs as another layer to the statistics around black women and their unemployment rate. I'm going to have to see another source and a little bit more data to determine that, yes, Trump's tariffs to reorganize world trade have some specific effect on women of a specific color. That one does not sound credible. The author who wrote this article in NBC News, I've seen his work before. I think he's out of Pennsylvania. He does a lot of racially oriented stories, which for NBC News seems to be fine. Let's understand a little bit more of the history of the black middle class from his perspective. When Francine Verdeen took a job as a clerk at the Internal Revenue Service in Houston in 1983, it was supposed to be a stopgap until something better came along. She didn't expect that 42 years later, she would look back on it as the start of a rewarding career that provided growth in various management positions, upward mobility, and the opportunity to build a comfortable life for her family. Quote, "I enjoyed my career," said Verdeen, who retired in 2019. "I had no idea when I started that I could make the money I did by the time I left. It's sad that many others' opportunity to have a similar career could be over." Well, it's great when a job works out for one person. It doesn't always work out for everyone, and not everyone does a good job either. But you can't look at the federal government as a way to just get a job and ultimately retire after 42 years. We don't have that kind of job security regardless of what your skin color is. He continues, "For decades, the federal government provided both reliable jobs and guardrails to offset systemic racial bias in hiring and promotions, offering an alternative for black workers who might be overlooked or ignored in the private sector. And legitimately, that was a problem in the 1970s and earlier.
But come the 1980s, it really was pretty much what you can do is the opportunity that you're going to get. We've had a lot of growth and a lot of opportunities in the United States. The federal government jobs provided a crucial role in helping black workers like Verdeen join the middle class and thrive. But vast cuts by the Trump administration.
Now you see, now you heard that, right?
World is getting.
This old house nigga. He tried to get my man platform striked and shit.
Our discussion after the break. Welcome back, sir. We continue our discussion.
He decided to. Man, why are we on? What is the Democrat?
The way we're going to destroy public schools, and we're going to make sure that behavior standards are seen as racist. So the out-of-control behavior that we've seen in the classrooms in society all over is part and parcel of what the Democrat Party has done to the black community.
All right, Eugene, let's hear from you before we have to take a break.
Man,
Bitch
why
ass
are we
Eugene.
What does the Democrat Party have to do with black people?
Everything.
Okay. Eugene. So last time I checked, I'm Eugene on stage. So.
Now you asked her a question, and then when she respond, you came with that emotional answer. You came with that emotional ass answer when you asked her a question, and then you cut her off. You understand me? And then she gave you the finger like, nigga, don't touch me. You understand me? You up this motherfucker straight black fatigue right here live on the stage, and that's why we having this conversation. And the nigga was so emotional, it was crazy. I'm like, even the babe on his other side, the sister was like, tried to tap him like, yo, chill, you know what I mean? You too damn emotional, nigga. You defending that motherfucking DEI and all that old fuck shit, nigga, after them bitches done said they don't give a damn about no nigga that voted for Trump. They wish they all died, she said. You want me to play it for you? So you'll know what I'm talking about? Remember she said that? Let's rewind that. Because y'all be getting amnesia and shit.
We're here legally or not. You gotta go. I hope he does that. To you black men who your fragile ego couldn't take a black woman in office, so you either voted for Trump or you didn't vote at all. The police will now have carte blanche to murder you right where you stand. And when they do that, there's not going to be no GoFundMes. Don't ask your family to ask us for shit. Just die. They can't afford to bury you. Dig a hole in their backyard.
How you doing, man? All right.
But don't expect sympathy. Don't expect protest in the streets. We're not doing that. Black women, we're done. We're done. We did our due diligence for this century and the next. We've done enough. We're not doing anymore. To you white women that once again voted against your interest, when your husband start knocking you into the middle of next week and you can't do anything about it because no fault divorce is in play, I want you to take those black eyes and those busted lips as a personal thank you from Donald J. Trump each and every time you give it. Take it. Don't look for nobody else. Don't ask for help. Take your beatings. Take it. Don't look for nobody else. Don't ask for help.
So fucking emotional.
For all of y'all that voted for Trump,
is that black fatigue or what,
exactly what you voted for. Because the only thing he did was to make
these niggas don't do nothing but prove us right.
That it was great for from the beginning. White men. That's what he did. He couldn't run the risk of whiteness no longer being the default, not being allowed to fail up. So
you're a racist.
When you're bleeding out somewhere and there's a medical emergency and you can't get
all
no
racist
help,
talk.
women who voted for him, don't take it.
You just threatening Latino men, Latino group, black men, and white women. You just threatened all three of us.
This isn't America anymore. I don't know what the is, but it's not gonna be America. And
oh man, that's why what happened was happening. That's what the fuck y'all get.
Because we're about to be in a real live action episode of Scandal. Because your next president is not Donald Trump, it's J.D. Vance. Because trust and believe.
This bitch just jaw jacking at that point. That's why everything that's happening to them is karma. Karma, motherfucker, came back tenfold. And she came back tenfold on her fat ass. Y'all gotta see how she look. Look just like Miss Piggy. You heard? Look just like Miss Piggy. That's probably why she gonna always not have a man in her life.
Within a year, you're not gonna see Trump anymore. He's either gonna be, and they're gonna say it's illness or he died in his sleep.
Listen to a jaw jack.
Because he's old enough, or they're just gonna let him spaz out and do the
Why them
25th.
bitches so
And
lonely,
that's when
man?
we're really gonna be in the Handmaid's Tale. So I really
Y'all
hope
were used,
all
now
of
y'all
you
kicked to
voted
the
for him,
curb.
you get exactly what the you deserve.
That's right, y'all getting exactly what y'all deserve. Listen to this weak boned motherfucker.
Has a history of denigrating you
Listen to him up there preaching hate, spilling hate.
because you think
That's why that shit backfired in y'all face. And the things that's happening is happening for a reason. God damn it. You understand what I'm saying? Listen to this some more. You got plenty of time.
When the middle class and thrive. But vast cuts by the Trump administration, led by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, are threatening to close down that once dependable path to financial stability. The government, which has about 3 million employees, no one really knows how many, is the largest employer in the country. At least 75,000 of them accepted buyout offers and thousands were fired in the last several weeks. Many of the workers fired were either newer hires or told they were let go for subpar performance. Probationary employees, then, we did not need. The Biden administration, a lot of the growth they had were from two sources. One, hiring illegal aliens. Two, massive hiring of the federal government. And, of course, they had a DEI focus there. So, sure, they're going to be aggressively affected and disproportionately represented when they're let go. But the federal workforce was a means to help build black
I hope they
middle
get a
class.
job at
It hired
McDonald's.
black Americans at a higher rate than private employers, said Sharia Smith, president of the
Yeah.
American Federation of Government Employees, Local 252, which represents the Education Department employees. The Trump people are, of course, gutting the Department of Education, saying there are a lot of people working there that we do not need. Because ultimately, the purpose of the federal government is not to provide middle-class employment.
Y'all notice when the motherfuckers went over there to that detention center when the mayor of Jersey got locked up? Why them other motherfuckers ain't getting locked? Why was only black folk getting locked up? But yeah, y'all puppet master was capping hard as a motherfucker for y'all. But put the battery in y'all back and made y'all go out there and get locked up. But they knew not to go out there and get locked up. They knew just to taunt and pull strings, and they knew you niggas was gonna get locked up. They ain't even get locked up. You niggas did.
Because ultimately, the purpose of the federal government is not to provide middle-class employment for everyone of different skin colors. It's to do a job for the American people, and the American people expect results. The services you're providing are supposed to be on behalf of the benefit of the American people.
That's right.
Not specific American people of a specific color or gender. And if we don't see the benefits, you're not going to keep the jobs anymore. As part of its efforts, President Trump is aligning to shut down the Department of Education, a move that would have dramatic repercussions around the country. Nearly 30% of education employees are black, according to a 2024 report by the department. Well, that is a large percentage. And maybe this was treated as a jobs program, which is completely inappropriate. Everyone should have opportunity in life, but we don't need a stealth jobs reparation program that was never approved by the American people. Smith said 74 workers at the Education Department have been let go so far, 60 of whom were black. Well, that's a larger percentage than 30%. At the Department of Health and Human Services, where more than 1,300 new hires were reportedly laid off, 20% of the staff was black. And the Department of Veteran Affairs, which recently lost 1,000 employees, 24% of those employees are black. It really is starting to look like we had a stealth reparations job program that taxpayers were not aware of unless you're a taxpayer and you happen to get one of these jobs. These numbers illustrate how important government jobs have been and are for black people, said Marcus Casey, a fellow in the Economic Studies program at the Brookings Institution. He said the administration's efforts are trying to undermine the gains of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which banned discrimination on the basis of race and other characteristics, and of affirmative action, which began in the federal government to make the hiring and promoting process more inclusive. But whether it was from the post office, through direct growth of federal agencies, through the military, the government fought against the headwinds associated with the private sector. According to Casey, an affiliated scholar with Brookings, are we starting to understand that the increase in size of the federal government was partly related to this jobs program? It wasn't just discriminatory, where they only hired people of certain specific skin colors, or maybe even skin colors and genders, but they allowed the federal government to expand just to give jobs to certain people? That's beyond discriminatory. That's getting pretty bad. Many black people could build careers through the federal government, typically because the private sector overlooked them, regardless of their qualifications, he said.
Employee pricing across a full line.
Fun fact, Hank. Ford assembles the
Now you see, now you heard that.
Another fun. Want to know how I got my entire roof replaced for less than half what my neighbors paid?
10. Well, and so the federal government has been essential to the building of the black middle class. A worker at the Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C., who requested anonymity, said several workers in his office have been fired for poor performance. But morale is so low, he said. People who should be there are gone. Everyone is nervous about the next shoe dropping. The president's sweeping changes began with ending DEI throughout the government, weaponizing it as a destructive ideology along the way. Countless jobs have been lost in an area that was created to develop fair hiring opportunities. None of this sounds like fair hiring opportunities. It all sounds like it was a complete mess. And as Elon Musk has said, if we actually knew what was going on, and he does because he's got the information, we would be a lot more concerned about this. Quote, a lot of black people not only benefited from what they call DEI now, but the original affirmative action programs and the veteran preferences, Casey said. That combination helped a lot of people get a foothold in the civil service. These efforts, he said,
Civil
helped
rights
people
bill,
get middle-class
that's right.
salaries and build middle-class lives with an ecosystem of race-specific businesses around black
1968.
communities. So then the federal
Martin Luther
jobs
King
that were basically make-work jobs, the way they're describing it,
in 1968, Martin Luther King bumped shoulders with that beast, Lyndon B. Johnson, who said in 1962, I'll have those Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And then turned around and signed the bill in 1963 that's called No Man in the House program. So in 62, I told y'all, he said he had those Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. That's racist. Understand me? Always came from the Democratic Party. I know, I did the research on that party a long time ago, back in 1935. God damn it. At Pulaski, Tennessee, god damn it. I was there on the hills when he talked about Willie Lynch. You understand me? But anyway, like I said, 1962, that old beast, Lyndon B. Johnson, said he had those Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And then turned around in 1963, signed that bill. That goddamn bill, the man in the house rule, was a welfare policy that denied benefits to families if a man was present in the household, even if he wasn't a father or a provider. Wow. Man in the house rule. This rule was in 1960. Who signed that bill? Hold on, y'all. But once you do the research, man, it's like if the female put him on the lease, he got to share his income. She got to share the income with him. You know what I mean? Provide all that information. But when it was first handed down, no sir. And if he worked, he had to produce his income, which we all knew the rent would go up from her paying $2 that should go up to like maybe 200-300. You understand what I'm saying, peoples? But yeah, the man in the house rule. Papa Duck, I played that yesterday. You understand me? But B. Lyndon Johnson was the motherfucking president in the 60s. They said he had those house Negroes in line for the next 200 years. And what do we see, ladies and gentlemen? You can bring the facts to these Negroes and they'll still deny it. And jump out the window for a motherfucking George Soros ass motherfucker that's pulling their strings. Alex Soros. The gig is up, y'all. The gig is up like a motherfucker. Over here, the gig, you know what I mean? We know what it is. For those who's in denial about the shit, stay in denial. The world gonna constantly turn, God damn it, while you stuck in madness and foolishness. Black fatigue. Now, man. Yeah, who putting batteries in those Negroes' backs? The Soros? God damn it. You females was getting above yourself. And the whole world seen it. Y'all start thinking y'all were men when y'all were women. Not a man, God damn it. Know your role. Know your position. Get in that kitchen and burn some pans, God damn it. How about that? Y'all should work on y'all cooking skills now. Since you ain't got nothing but time on your hand. Pull out the goddamn cookbooks and get in that goddamn kitchen. And maybe you'll find a nice man, God damn it. And stop gossiping all the time, listening to he say, she say shit. Mind your own business and stay in your lane, God damn it. And you surround yourself with like-minded people. Stay away from hating ass motherfuckers that ain't got nothing going on. 9 times out of 10, it always go that way. Because she ain't got no man. She can't keep no man. And the girl that do got a man, she trying to get her to get away from her man. Misery love company, God damn it. But yeah. Y'all know what it is. Where we at with it? The man in the house rule.
This is Adam Post. Black women are losing. It really is starting to look like we had a stealth reparations job program that taxpayers were not aware of unless you're a taxpayer and you happen to get one of these jobs. These numbers illustrate how important government jobs have been and are for black people, said Marcus Casey, a fellow in the Economic Studies program at the Brookings Institution. He said the administration's efforts are trying to undermine the gains of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which banned discrimination on the basis of race and other characteristics, and of affirmative action, which began in the federal government to make the hiring and promoting process more inclusive. But whether it was from the post office, through direct growth of federal agencies,
King was bumping shoulders with Hitler,
the government
man.
fought against the headwinds associated with the private sector. According to Casey, an affiliated scholar with Brookings, are we starting to understand that the increase in size of the federal government was partly related to this jobs program? It wasn't just discriminatory, where they only hired people of certain specific skin colors, or maybe even skin colors and genders, but they allowed the federal government to expand just to give jobs to certain people? That's beyond discriminatory. That's getting pretty bad. Many black people could build careers through the federal government, typically because the private sector overlooked them, regardless of their qualifications, he said. Quote, and so the federal government has been essential to the building of the black middle class. A worker at the Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C., who requested anonymity, said several workers in his office have been fired for poor performance. But morale is so low, he said. People who should be there are gone. Everyone is nervous about the next shoe dropping. The president's sweeping changes began with ending DEI throughout the government, weaponizing it as a destructive ideology along the way. Countless jobs have been lost in an area that was created to develop fair hiring opportunities. None of this sounds like fair hiring opportunities It all sounds like it was a complete mess. And as
Right.
Elon Musk has said, if we actually knew what was going on, and he does because he's got the information, we would be a lot more concerned about this. Quote, a lot of black people not only benefited from what they call DEI now, but the original affirmative action programs and the veteran preferences, Casey said. That combination helped a lot of people get a foothold in the civil service. These efforts, he said, helped people get middle-class salaries and build middle-class lives with an ecosystem of race-specific businesses around black communities. So then the federal jobs that were basically make-work jobs, the way they're describing it, then provided capital to have race-specific businesses in their communities, in certain specific communities. Like, how much of the federal government has been paying for all of this for how many decades now? When you create a situation that's discriminatory, where people are being given opportunities that they did not earn, that is unsustainable in the long term, because that's always at the expense of someone else. People can do very well. Even that NBC article had someone who started 42 years ago as a clerk and then got even better and better management positions, which I am sure she earned, because it was 42 years ago. You cannot do people the disservice of giving them opportunities that they cannot keep up with and expect it's going to help them in their future. It damages them, and it damages the people who were excluded because they didn't get an opportunity they should have had because of their skin color. The federal government should not be pushing racism. They should be pushing effectiveness.
Right.
They owe a debt to the American people. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.
That's Adam Post, y'all, on YouTube. Adam Post. P-O-S-T. Adam Post. Search him up on YouTube. Go on the search bar. Put in Adam Post. P-O-S-T. And it'll bring you right to his channel. You understand me? I ain't here to show it to you because I'm on my phone. I ain't in the headquarters. Starting to rain again, y'all. But they said it was supposed to be off and on. What else we got going on, y'all? But ain't that something, y'all? King been something. Yo, I told y'all we've been sold out, y'all. The past history shows it, y'all. If anybody else tell you something different, they lying to you. And they don't give a damn about you. But the facts are there, y'all. Do the research class on this weekend. In 1962, what Lyndon B. Johnson said, he had those Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And then they sold y'all out even more when they had y'all go out there and get that jab. That experiment. I keep telling y'all about it. We got the videos up about all that shit, y'all. Told you the rabbit hole run deep over here, yeah. I ain't gonna leave y'all out there like that. Some of your peoples will, though. Same people that sold y'all out. That told you you had to go get it. You ain't had to get shit. Like they said, your body, your choice. You understand me, peoples? Like they saying, ain't nobody above the law, not even Donald Trump. Now that them words coming back to haunt them, y'all. Them words coming back to haunt their motherfucking ass, man. Word. But I'm in this video. Y'all see that young lady over there when we was over town? She was at, I think, Dev's spot. That was Dev's spot. Old Italian brothers. She was standing out front. I said, is that the real deal, Holyfield? You got to say that these days, y'all. You don't know if they Transformers or not. You know what I mean? You got to start down there asking for birth certificates now out this motherfucker. Because of what that you see that might look shiny and glittery, goddammit. It might not be what you think. You heard? Most definitely look like she had one of them BBLs and shit. I wonder if that motherfucker leaked. You know what I mean? Like, what's the aftermath for that BBL leaking? We got them facts up too, y'all. So like I said over here, we gonna teach y'all a little something. Whereas though you ain't gonna be out in this world being bamboozled. you're going to recognize that shit. And when you recognize it, you can go the other way. You understand me? You can be like, oh, I seen this. I heard this before. You understand me? But the people that's in the dark, that never come to the light, you're not going to see this information. This information is here for you to share it. You understand me? Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right? But y'all have a blessed weekend, and remember, always put the Most High first, y'all. If you don't got the Most High up in you at all, goddammit, everything will turn to ashes and dust, goddammit. What's happening to the left? Everything they was involved in was against the Most High word. And we can get into that all day, every day, but you understand me? I'm about to leave y'all for now. I might be up tomorrow on that great Sabbath day and do a walk video. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen. Same bat channel, same bat time. Y'all don't get yourself in trouble during this weekend. You hear me? It's easy to get in trouble and it's hard to get out. You understand me? So get out there and save a life, y'all. Get out there and save a life. And if ain't nobody told y'all in a long time that they love you, because some of y'all need some love, and I don't mean physical love. I mean spiritual love, God damn it. I love y'all, all right? Until the next time. Do that research. Constantly research. Get the facts. Create a channel. And talk your shit. On facts, not fiction.